So if you don't mind just parking it. Okay, good morning again. We don't often get to practice what many people have talked about in terms of embodied mindfulness is a common phrase. Embodied presence is a very frequently used phrase. We've talked about it for 2 days now. The experience of embodiment is more important than embodied presence. That we're using the body, we are embodying the body as basis, is a more appropriate basis of being. We are beings, and we're in transformational beingness. And so meditation, as I feel it in my life, is occupying innateness, and the most innate qualities of life that I can see and feel, which is very obvious, is that I'm embodied. Please, whatever you're drinking and stuff, set it down. Pay attention. This is a meditation. Embodiment is huge. Disembodiment is common, even among spiritual people, intimate people. So becoming more and more familiar with the direct experience of embodiment is a tremendous support, as you know, of basic human sanity. You have a ground to be in. Sometimes when I'm lost in something, I'm lost and fused in the river, in the torrent of thinking and emotions, and I have to re-yogify my being. I have to come back into my feet, into my body. So I'd like to encourage you to be in the yogification, the medification, the embodiment of body, becoming more and more familiar with the rhythms, the energy, the poetry, the fractures, the struggle, the hollowness, the density, the ways in which my body feels open and contracted all throughout the day, like a flower, like an iris of an eye, and doing all that I can to maintain stature, poise, peace, choice. So may I encourage you, when we sit, when you hear that it's the time to make that choice for yourself to sit, may I encourage you to just pause and just wherever we are, as a way to deepen this experience, is to stop and to re-situate present time awareness inside of the body. It's so easy to be in, and I'm not judging it, in the eye moving towards a place. Do that too, but do it as if you're walking to the most important, most sacred event of your life, bringing Samvega and purpose to it, and not thinking that it's only there when I cross my legs, anticipating struggle and restlessness yet again. That stop. Monastically, meditatively, wherever one found themselves to be in any flow other than embodied movement, teachers and guides in my world were encouraging them to stop. If you go to meditation centers, you'll see hundreds of people stopped, reoccupying themselves in their body. You'll see them at the dining hall eating meals, sitting without reaching for food, to reestablish now time mindful, intelligent awareness. It's the basis of self-friendship, because you're bringing intimacy and choice to the free flow of consciousness, and whatever arises you can say yes or no to, yes or no to. I want to be in peace, I don't want to be in affliction. Release or engage. Are you with me on that? So here we are standing. A little bit of life is taking the hurry out of it. We have this exaggerated opportunity to not really go anywhere except to our choice. And making that choice is intimate to a process than an arrival. So part of the ways to expand the meditation to all postures, all states, all times, and all context is to really challenge the apartheid that that spot is preferable to the spot that we're in. So I encourage that attitude of wherever we are, occupy, bring forth the qualities, either feel what's present and or foster what you want to feel. So let's just stand for a second, or 2, or 10. And may I invite that we just stand upright with the feet just somewhat a foot or so apart, and bend the knees slightly so that you can say, and keep the back and the shoulders slightly back, and you can just kind of, oh wow, it's taking, only my feet are holding me up and my knees are slightly flexible. Kind of a little bit of balance there. And then gently close the eyes and let the arms and the hands just relax to the sides. Let the shoulders hold them up. Stand upright without being tense and without losing height in the posture. Relax the chest and the abdomen and let the feet hold our body up. And find your balance there by moving slightly with just, okay, and for the next couple of minutes, do what we do when we sit, but inhabit mindfully, intelligently aware of the sensations throughout the body. Hard to mistake not feeling the pressure of my feet making contact with the floor. It feels hard, but right. I feel a slight sense of tension in my lower back, pressure in my shoulders. I feel the wind blowing on my body, coolness and vibration. I hear the sound of my own voice in my own ear. I have images of each of us in the space, the valley, the sky. There are images in the sky of consciousness. Let us occupy an awareness of phenomena at the same time fostering a spacious peace that allows but does not keep. The plants, the foliage, and the trees allow the wind and the breeze to pass right through, and they move in a dance with this wind and nature. Swayed are they, but deep somewhere inside unmoved, both existing at the same time. We live in a world that's swirling. We have mind states and inner perceptions like branches and flowers and leaves. We're being moved and we sway, and deep in our center there's a peace that allows for the nature of life to be felt, and we evolve this peace of being intimately embedded in nature. We are the flowering tree. We are the plant. We are the air. We are the river, the streams. We're embedded in an indescribable, indiscernible, ultimately interrelated, mysterious web, a net of phenomena, an ecosystem of consciousness and physicality, and within it there is this mysterious beauty called choice to feel. Establishing a relationship to this choice as being the employment of mindful awareness, and in it the intelligence to choose and to discern, I am who I am in dignity. I am going to rest in this ephemeral quality as the trunk of my tree. And for the next minute, let's stand in silence and occupy this movement and peace, feeling the sensations and equally feeling the peace. The peace and the movement of co-occupation. At times it's still, at times we quiver, but here we stand in nature, not apart from it, like a flowering tree. Letting sound and images, the sun, the warmth, history and memory, all the emotions. I see you, I feel you, I want to know you. I'm going to be at peace with you right now. Even though I cry, I will be at peace with you, temporarily, in refuge from the storm. And please, in our own way, when you're ready, slowly, carefully, lower ourselves to whatever we were going to sit on, the chair, the cushion, the benches, and take a sitting posture that reflects your dignity as we begin a short period of sitting meditation. Especially for those people who are here for the first time, and especially if you're not particularly familiar with sitting meditation, take a posture that reflects both your comfort, your poise, and equally a sense of importance and stature. Sit in a posture that reflects high importance and dignity. Sitting down as fully as possible on the sofa, on the pillows, the chair, wherever we find ourselves by choice, please liberate ourselves from finding the right posture, and over the months to come, evolving, experimenting with adjustments to postures. And even now, as we begin this still sitting, make whatever adjustments you need to make, paying particular attention to sitting upright without being tense. If you're wondering where to place your hands, For me, it's either on the knees, face down, and or cupped in my lap, either one or the other, of course, sitting comfortably on the other. Adjusting whatever height in the cushion that you need to ease the stress in the back. The head is upright. The eyes are gently closed. Not to squeeze them shut or to squeeze the mouth tight. There's a way to relax the jaw in keeping the mouth closed. Let the tongue relax as much as possible. Make whatever final adjustments we need to make. And at that right moment, important to consciously cease all physical movement. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, consciously choose stillness of body or non-volitional movement. The purpose being, meditation is the felt experience of natural phenomena. We're just watching the primordial flow of presence as it interrelates with consciousness and the anatomical functions of the body and how they're felt as distinct sensations throughout the form. Sensations of pressure and heat, in other words, sensations of temperature, the wind element, vibration, pressure, the earth element, solidity, hardness, softness. First instruction, we find the posture, make the changes, sit still. Second, the purposeful activity of choosing mindful, intelligent awareness directed in and through the entirety of the body as if it's being filled with light or air, or in this case, the transparent knowingness of the physical phenomena of embodiment. I feel myself to be sitting because I feel the wind element gently caressing my skin and face with the sensation of coolness. Coolness is the experience, not wind, not air, not face. I feel strands of pressure and tension in different parts of my back. The experience is an oscillating sense of pressure, tingling, and tension. Not the back. The experience of sensations. Inflate the body. Feel. The third instruction, to remember, should you wish, in the natural flow of mind, inevitably, we are seeing that attention shifts independent of choice. In other words, I find myself in thinking and I go, oh, a few seconds went by, in some cases a few minutes. Ah, Very natural. But in that minute of being in that thought, there wasn't seemingly choice. So the meditation here is consciously employing and developing mindful choice to direct itself at the primary experience of embodiment, mindfulness of the body. So we consciously disengage from the mind that drifts or wanders or is in preponderance, problem solving, fantasy. And if there's judgment or fear, we notice that too. Natural flow of phenomena. Reacquaint ourselves with the foundation of the body, the ground of mindful beingness, being aware here and now, of the sensations of being embodied. Fourth instruction: to refine mindful, intelligent awareness, become more subtle, more committed to a nuanced present time presence. The breathing breathes on its own. This isn't breath control. We relax the breathing, allow it to breathe in any way we want to breathe, without suggesting or deliberately controlling it. Couple this mindful, intelligent awareness and align it with the entire breathing process. The sensations that come through the face, the nostrils, the throat, the chest, the abdomen, from the inside through. Feel not breathing, but feel the sensations as a result of air coming and going from the body. Very consistent, refined set of sensations that take embodiment to a new level of nuance. Call it in-breathment. A next dimension of present time awareness, in-breathment. Wherever we feel it is appropriate. Whenever the mind wanders to some other phenomena, natural as it is, the instruction is quite clear for us. Notice, disengage, come back wherever the breathing is felt, either in or out of the body, either in the neck, chest, abdomen, either the in-breath or the out-breath, or the rising of the chest and abdomen, or the falling of the chest and abdomen. Give ourselves over for a few minutes, just as best as we can. Awareness of the breathing on a sensation level. Sit still, sit upright, courageously become more subtle with listening and feeling the nature of the most organic function of life, breathing. Each time the mind wanders, we bring it back. See if we can follow it the entire duration. Rising, falling. Focus all of our attention where it's most predominant. For me, it's in my chest and abdomen. Rising, falling, rising, falling. Sitting down on my cushion, staying upright, continuing to sit upright and present. And may I invite us for this last third of the sitting to allow the breathing to breathe and continue to breathe in the way that it breathes. Just let it be. Staying upright, poised, balanced. If we have to move, move mindfully and resituate with stillness as natural to the breeze and the wind of a flowering tree. Movement is okay. Maintaining the stature, the presence within change. Letting our mind and bodies and breathing be, and may we occupy inside and outside. A radiant, transparent fostering of peace. May each of us in our own way take the existing nature of our goodness, the rightness of our right, allowing the struggles to coexist with this rightness, and for a minute align in solidarity with our dignity, our lovability, our beauty. Making real on the promise of emotional gratitude to be the humans that we are. Flawed, courageous, scared, at times invincible, principled, frightened, and within that, hold that space, emanate that space of acceptance and personal peace. I see you, I love you, I embrace you, I am a being fostering gentle, radiant peace. Let us feel this quality of peace as an enveloping emotion within our body and our breath and our minds. A peace that accepts movement and the quivering of consciousness. A peace that includes our own being, a peace that includes our family, our friends, and a peace that includes, in this space, our emerging family, our emerging tribe, each other. With each in-breath, breathing into the beauty of this peace. Let it coexist with complexity, with change and uncertainty. I am who I am, choosing peace. And may we envelop each other as the air envelops us, a sense of sanctity and support. Here is my peace, with you, for you, together. Holding each other in this transparent, radiant acceptance. I am who I am. Together we are. I cannot be who I am without you. I breathe with you. I live with you. I share my peace with you. I accept your peace for me. And with each breath, let us include, encompass each other and ourselves just as we are. I love you, I accept you, I am with you. I am choosing to be at peace right now. Nothing to think about. Just abide in the purity of the air that we breathe, in the rightness of our choice to be here. Embrace, embrace, include, sanctify, elevate this breath of peace. And if you so choose, let this peace vanquish and relax even temporarily historical struggle, perceptions of the past. I am who I am. I'm choosing at this time to be in elegant, vulnerable, open peace. Give up the work, relax the agenda, abide in the sanctity of actualization more than hope. We're actualizing personal and immediate and collective peace. With every out-breath, let the past be. With every in-breath, revitalize this gentle, courageous expression of self-respect and group gratitude. Thank you for bearing witness. Thank you for being here physically and emotionally. Thank you for holding space with me. I embrace you with my love and my peace in this shared dignity. Allow it to fill us. Breathe into it. Allow it to radiate naturally like the fragrance of a flower. Let us be like the plumeria, a fragrant expression of peace. Temporarily, all wrongs and rights are relinquished into this expanding sky and field of just transparent, fragrant peace. Allow it to heal and nurture us and each other, strengthen us. Feel it into the fiber of our souls, throughout the neurons of our being and consciousness. Let it regenerate. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. And for these final few minutes, let us each in our own way keep fostering this sense of peace and letting it flow from us and surround each other in the sanctity of this trust, this safety, this conscience and integrity, this reciprocity of individual and shared peace. Please, for this final few seconds, to truly feel what we've done for ourselves and for each other. Fostering a collective field of safety and trust and honor. Acquainting ourselves with the choice-making process of engaging mindfully the quality, the emotion, the state of mind of stature-infused peace. Combination of patience and self-acceptance, love, courage and caring. And please, when you feel inclined to stand or change your posture if you wish, and carry this peace with us, please. You know what time it is? What time it is? What time is it? Anyone know what time it is? That's cool. No one knows what time it is. Okay, let it be then. What time? 11. Thank you. So if you need to stand and stretch while we're talking here, feel comfortable doing that. I'm okay movement and talking. If you need to use the washroom, you know where they are. There's water in the kitchen area, don't hesitate. If you were drinking coffee before I rudely interrupted that, drink it. Or tea, or anything at all that you're drinking. Do what you need to do to feel totally comfortable. If you want to take your notebooks out. This next hour, I'd like to really turn it completely over to you. And let you be the ones who determine what to talk about, to share. By way of saying if there's topics or questions or aspects of what you're curious about, things that we've touched upon, whatever it may be. I've been talking to some of the people individually and a lot of you collectively. There's a lot of interesting issues that are coming up and being explored. I would tend to encourage that they not be seen as closed doors, but as, I dare say, portals to new openings. We've talked about beautification, we've talked about addiction, we've talked about recovery. I've gotten into rants about propaganda. You heard me diss the guru scene, the teaching scene, the yogic scene, the meditation scene, the Buddhist scene, the liar scene, the fraud scene. You know, call me in on those things, whatever it is that's touching you, so that we have what's the root of democracy, which is free inquiry and freedom of speech. Obviously, it means very simple things, the least of which is that we can really disagree each other and still make love. I mean, what does diversity mean? So please don't agree with me. If there are things that are challenging to you, ask for clarity, or if there are things that are personal to you, I really like hearing things that you normally wouldn't even share with your therapist. Even those little pages a day or so ago were those sacred lies that you threw away. If you want to share some of those, I'll be the first to let you know that you're humiliating yourself publicly. Don't do it. If you haven't thrown them out yet, throw them out. I can't tell you the things that I've heard. It's shocking. Shocking, shocking. But anyway, so is there anything that you would like to talk about? Take your time, please. And I'm told that if there's a microphone, it's to be kept.
Hello.
There you go. I know it's not easy. I'm certainly, but take your time.
Just going back to the addiction thing, when you said that it's beautiful and you should be proud of your addiction. So yeah, I actually, a lot of things you say, I think are really, I see a lot of truth. I know even like when you're dissing yogis and everything.
Except that one.
Apart from that one, like that really triggered me.
Sure.
I think it's because it's something that's brought me a lot of pain, but not as an addict, as a witness to people that are really close to me suffering with addictions. And I've been thinking a lot about how I could see it as beautiful, and maybe I find it hard to accept because it's something that's affecting my life and it's not my direct problem. And then I see it affecting people that I love, and it doesn't seem beautiful at all to me.
I get you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We've been talking quite a bit here, I have and other people have, about addictions. Can I really honestly see those of you who have struggled with and or are struggling with addictions? I want to know if there are anyone in the room. Please just hang it up. Keep it up. Any type of addiction. Yeah. Just keep it up for a minute. You're an addict, okay? This is nothing. Just now, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. I mean, you keep your addict up, and keep your fucking hand up, right? Okay, thank you. No shaming intended. Addiction, recovery, beautification, lifelong, evolving experiences for me, which include deep demonization, negation, hatred, and violence. The way that I've challenged addiction, and I can't say the challenge of addiction in others, although I do see people who are addicted to dictatorship, that the process of helping support them and the people near them to overcome that evil fucking addiction is to see the shortcoming of the behavior, not to polarize them as addicts. Taking the personality and the person out of the process. So you're addressing a behavior, not negating a person. Addicts are often depersonalization. You're an addict, you. And that doesn't work for me. It's the opposite of feminine-inspired nonviolence. Wait, this is a lifelong discussion. Read my book, Instinct for Freedom, to have 250 pages of this, and Future to Believe in. But just some generalizations to help further the discussion. And please, may I invite you or anyone else, don't seek an answer here, but feel a feeling. Where does it resonate in you? I can't speak for the addictions of others in challenging those things. There's some real psychopathic people out there who would really piss me off. And it's like, I don't see beautification of that. But when it comes to me, the way that I've challenged it has been through non-demonization of it, non-self-blame, not even blaming people for it. removing blame altogether and beginning to integrate it into a more elegant culture of self-forgiving, self-respect, that you're a vulnerable human being and that you're now connecting to it in a way that's bringing kindness, not so harsh and either-orness. Because when I did that, it was like, how many people I've heard, I've stopped smoking 20 times. And I hear it so often. I stopped drinking 20 times. I stopped polyamory 20 times. I stopped. For me, I don't advocate stopping in any person's addict. I don't even advocate the word addict. I would only encourage, if you're interested in how I behave, stop using the word addict. Stop using any word that's solid. You're not an addict. You're a human being. You're a complex set of conditions that are beautiful and complex. I have behaviors that I do that seem to be repeated through this substance that has this influence on me. So I develop, as a first stage of engaging the so-called addictions of my life, I call it the beautification of consciousness, which is called bhavana. Bhavana means introducing kind, elegant, compassionate, forgiving, accepting, transformational, intelligent, determined energies to the edge of complexity. Beauty is not it. You see what I'm saying? I'm bringing intelligence to it now. The intelligence to study it. Beautification is a synonym for the felt study of complexity. Are you with me? Just keep, it's all on tape. The felt, take the word beauty out, because it's like, man, that's ugly. I look at the mirror, Alan, you look like shit, man. You better get some Botox. The felt study of self-judgment is the beautification of the artifice of the unquestioned attitude that I'm ugly. I'm bringing beauty, not, you're so fucking beauty, man. That's bullshit. You're fucking ugly, but guess what? I'm questioning it. So the first level of questioning these calcified attitudes is questioning, why am I drunk all the time? What's at the root of this? What's even at the middle level of it? The questioning, the inquiry, that's beautifying it. And so I'd only encourage that with anything that you're doing is to demystify it, de-demonize it, and to relax more into it. I have more courage to coexist with it. I coexist with alcohol. If you knew me at some points in my life, based upon being completely a fish out of water. This is the second point. I'll just jump right into it. I don't know any of you who did raise your hand. I think that so much of the struggles that we have with substances and behaviors are really context issues. I used to find when I was doing cocaine repeatedly, I won't ask for hands, I found it a fascinating substance when I was quite young and meditating and doing yoga, quite frankly. And I became very dependent on it. And modified alcohol use with cigarettes. And I was really a vegetarian. I wore white. I had my mala beads. I did my mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, ad nauseum. I could do downward facing dog. I could do handstands. I was really adept. I was a meditator. And then I'd leave a retreat. And the next thing you know, I was doing cocaine, I was doing alcohol, I was doing sex, I was doing tantra, and the next thing you know, it was like 2 weeks later, I haven't really slept. And so what's the downside of this? Nothing really. I was young, I was fit, I was attractive, there were beautiful men and women in my life, I had a good life, I had money, I even lost weight, and I even did yoga better. But when I went to a retreat, and I sat and changed context, I went, fuck, man, you are fucking out of it. And the inclination was not to go repeat that behavior, but it was like scary to me that I indulged it so much. And so what happened for me is I increased positive transformational contexts, because I liked what I did. It wasn't an addiction. I liked what I did. I liked the influence of cocaine in my mind. I liked modified alcohol. I liked intimate relationships with women. I liked doing yoga, and I liked doing cocaine, yoga, and meditation, and art, and alcohol, and marijuana, and acid, all together. I liked it. So it wasn't an easy, like, you're an addict, go into AA. Fuck you, AA. You don't know how to use drugs wisely, was my response. So I go to a retreat. By day 7 and day 8, I didn't even think about these substances. I was going like, wow, that's really interesting. And so what happened was I began to do 10-day, 2-week, 1-month-long retreats. And in between them, the day I left, I was right back at home with my tribe doing yoga, sex, cocaine, alcohol, cigarettes, and acid. And the next thing you know, I go back into the retreat. Day 1, I would change. But it so happened at one point, I didn't go back into the retreat. And all of a sudden I found that those highs and those changes of context, I really fell from grace. You know what happened? Which is obvious. Obvious to those who've done it. My nose started to bleed all the time. And all of a sudden I was told that you can have a hole through your fucking nostril. Then a friend of mine went to prison. Then another friend of mine became cancerous. Another person was killed in a car accident because he was drunk. And I went, oh my God, these are heavenly messengers. This isn't as mild as I think it is. I've got to clean up my act. And so what happened? I did it more. I deteriorated more. I don't know about you, but I've met one of the senior leaders of the AA movement. He came to one of my meditation retreats, who was one of the board of directors, one of the oldest people involved. I asked him in front of 100 people, what is the best advice you could ever give an addict? He said, he laughed. He said, there's only one advice I'd ever give them. Keep doing it until you die. That always stayed with me. And really what he meant was, fucking do it with wild abandon until you can't do it anymore. I'm not speaking about other people. Stop your fucking violent abuse of your kids. Okay, I'll kill you. But when it comes to me, I'm not a violent abuser. I'm not an addict of violence, but I'm a self-abuser. So I did it more and more and more. And I was in LA before I became a monk. I was doing mindful lines of cocaine. It's no better way to do it than mindfully. Doing it blindly sucks, but doing it mindfully, it's amazing what it does to you. And then to meditate as soon as you stop, and then do an hour of yoga, and then have someone that you want to hang with, and have a little bit of a party where you kind of do all the things that people do. But the next thing you know, I had this boil on my fucking ass. It was bigger than a softball. That was so infected. It was unthinkably anguishing. And it was because of the Percodan I was on to come down at night in order to sleep. Synthetic morphine. And all of a sudden I saw, oh my God, I am killing myself. Your body is filled with infection. The doctor told me, he says, you realize that you are fucked up. And then all of a sudden I hated what I was doing. I hated my painting. I broke all of my paintbrushes. I fucking tore the canvases on my art. I hated my life in Los Angeles. I looked out of my balcony one night on a high dose of acid. This whole city is indoctrinated with cultural denialism. This is one big capitalist ozone killer. I felt that back then. I didn't know anything of what to do except invite the man that I had met in Burma, who became my preceptor as a monk, to come to America. I could not go to Burma. It was a dictatorship. He came. We did a retreat. I'll tell you this true story. I said, sir, I've got to become a monk. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. He says, you must beautify your process. The best way to do that is to renounce everything that you do and completely abandon those behaviors. You're invited to ordain with me right this minute. Don't wait for Burma. I went, holy fuck. No more alcohol, no more cigarettes, no more sex, no more masturbation, no more cocaine. Yep. So the question became, the beautification with either self-annihilation or to go down that very jagged slope of beginning to integrate the unseen self, as it's been said. He said, the only way that I'll accept you if your mom and dad agree that you can become a monk. So I flew to Virginia, bought an ounce of fucking cocaine there, and did it all over the course of 3 days. And I'll tell you, honestly, I've written about it, but I included this. 3 minutes before I ordained and shaved my head, I did the last 3 lines of that cocaine. That's how close to death I was. The next day I flew to Burma and I stopped cold turkey. It was killer. And I had a teacher whose name was Usobana. So you can see how deeply impressed I am. And he slowly nurtured me back to life. He coddled my vulnerability. He supported my intensity. He allowed me to cry. The monastery gifted me with food and medicines. And another little dirty little secret is it's very hard to go cold turkey on so many substances. Really, really challenging. There was no recovery at that time. There was no support. There were no meetings. And so what did I do? Burma, as you might know, is the world's largest supplier of opiates. You get where I'm going with this? Biggest producer of opium and heroin, right? And I learned through the grapevine that they smoke opium-laced cigars. So since you weren't allowed to smoke and that you couldn't leave the monastery, you couldn't own anything, the workers that came through, I started to track them and immediately felt, oh, the guy over there building the fence, he's smoking a cheroot. So I began to be so cunning as I would do my slow walking meditation as a monk, nearer and nearer to him, so that when he went like that, I had to bend mindfully and pick it up and stick it in my belt behind my robe. And before I went to bed at night, I self-medicated with small doses of opium to wean me from the collective addictions of my entire life. I was a full consummate alcoholic at 12 years old. 12. I went through a windshield driving drunk at 15 and 10 months. Drunk driving. Almost killed my best friend. Almost lost my head. 600 stitches later, 2 operations, brain trauma. I know addiction. Those are small compared to the ones post-monasticism. And there's no way that I would demonize these things. Slowly, I began to mindfully smoke that opium-laced cigar. And I beautified that process so fucking much. Alan, you like this so much, you'll stay a monk your whole life because you can smoke opium. I mean, it's amazing, the power of these effects on the consciousness. And slowly, as I reached for it, I felt the touch and left my fingers wide open and went to bed without it. And for years, I didn't do anything. Proud am I to know that I did that. I beautified it through meditation and through the elegance of people that loved me. Was the greatest beautification that I knew, self-love. When people loved me that I didn't expect they would love me, it softened that place in me that was unable to love that part of myself. I've been criticized so much in my life, I don't know about you. Criticized for being fucking intense, of being brash. I've got Tourette syndrome. I use curse words constantly. You know, when you're traumatized, you don't have great control of your brain, your words. You say things, you don't know boundaries. And so you have to live with these consequences that are brain generated, DNA generated, Lebanese generated. And so I've dealt with a lot of fucking criticism. You want to judge me? Don't judge me. Ask me how to judge me and I'll tell you how to ruin me. You know, fuck you. If you want to judge me, be honest about it. Yes, I'm fucked up, but so are you. And so by way of saying that you want for your beauty, not just accept it. And I am who I am today based on a very diligent approach of being both more and more self-loving and accepting those few people in my life who are willing to embrace me and my flaws, my idiosyncrasies, my own struggles, and who beautify me from the outside in and me from the inside up. I don't know any other way. The opposite of beauty is what? Let's uglify it. Even people who are natural born killers. My best friend in Burma, one of them, Utenu, the man I talked about yesterday, about he got through the darkest times through memories of love. Remember that? He remembered his wife and brought the past to the future. He was a sociopathic, psychotic killer. He was a killer, not a serial killer. He was the general of an army under a dictatorship. He commanded murder. We got down sometimes in monasteries where we're talking about this. He said, Alan, it's so in your DNA to believe in the rightness of a wrong. Addictions to alcohol and drugs are one thing, but the addiction to a dogma, a doctrine, an ideology that murders in the name of, how do you deal with that? Except in Burma, I've seen it. Martin Luther King outraged, consciously, sacredly outraged at the white man's injustice. But they maintain nonviolence. That's a beautiful state, yeah? The addiction to racism and toxicity and discrimination, far worse than alcohol and morphine and cocaine, yeah? We're living in a world of fucking addicts who are defining our addiction. Fuck you. You fascist pig. Don't tell me that I'm bad. You're the fucking people ruining the world. Look at the addiction to oil, gas, and methane. No matter what you do to clean up your act, you're a fucking abject hypocrite, Alan. You drove here on a motorbike. You're killing the future of life, talking to people about not becoming addicted to certain substances when you're addicted to denial. So my point is, when you really unpack addiction, it's everything. And so it's a philosophy of being. I don't want to demonize everything. It's the human nature to live in this huge contradiction of values and principles, and you have to honor in myself this hypocrisy, which gives me the right to speak in a nonviolent way. I can be the very thing that I see in you that you should overcome. So it's just my way. And so if you find a need to have a dialogue throughout your life about this, I'm not embedded in my belief, but I feel very strongly that it would be very hard to convince me. It's better to vilify an addiction in myself, but I draw the distinction with you. In other people, it's easier to vilify than myself. I refuse to do that to myself, but do unto others as you would like them to do unto you? Not quite. When I see someone abusing a woman, or a woman abusing a man, I want to intervene, and I do. At airports, I see someone yelling at a child, I'll talk to the child. I've been encouraged to do that by people, very principled people. And I'll do it. I'll say, hi, how are you, sweetheart? Don't talk to my child. I'll continue. I don't mind. I have no boundary, except my solidarity to a principle. So I'll intervene, but I won't ridicule. But I'll definitely point out, it's just, I found it better not to yell at children. I have a daughter, and I know she's done something that's upsetting to you, but maybe there's a way beyond that. I'm not asking for your advice. Okay, I understand. Sweetheart, it's okay. You're okay. We have to care for each other, right? So if I'm the perpetrator of a violence, I find that skillful means is one of the greatest things that we overlook. It's easy to judge and demonize and vilify, but I do feel that when I've been in my worst, ugliest, darkest states, what I'm crying out for is intimacy. I know that's cliched. I'm crying out, please someone talk to me about what I can't talk to in myself. And I say this in converse. For example, if you question my drinking, my drug use, or my cigarette use when I did those things, you were out. I would not allow anyone to question me. So that's the opposite. What am I denying? I don't want to even hear it. Would be too much for me. Okay, the last point. When in doubt about addiction, one of the greatest interventions in shifting context, which is the issue, is how to shift and create provocative Samvega-infused, monastic, meditatively intelligent context. How to bring that into psyche and source at the deepest level of where the programming is to repeat an orifice substance. How do you interrupt deep programming? Meditation is rather slow, but shifting a context out of something into something that's sanctified, it's much harder to act out in the comfort of an addiction. When you're a monk or a nun in the monastery, it's very hard. In AA meetings or NA meetings, it's harder to use there in that environment, but you may very well go back and use. I find if you are able and gifted and skilled and have the support to do, this is the only thing that I would ever advocate around I have to turn this off. I don't want this to be recorded.